This is Mark's story. He's an average guy, an 80-year-old Israeli citizen who lives in the center of the country. And he's been trying for decades to retrieve his family's land in the Negev that's been overrun by Bedouin squatters. It's the story of one man fighting against Israel's justice system. The story of one man's fight, a fight he had no hope of winning until we stepped in. Welcome to El Zarnog, right behind me here. An illegal Bedouin encampment on Highway 25, east of Beersheba and Nevatim. By chance, or perhaps by design, the encampment sits almost entirely on a privately owned parcel of land, registered to Jewish owners. Another small section sits on state-owned land. When we first heard this story, the owner was already getting on in years. In fact, he had more or less given up on ever retrieving his property, until we helped Mark file his first petition in 2012. In court, the government promised to develop a new neighborhood in Rahat, and then enforced to relocate the Bedouin who were squatting on Mark's land. So you ask, what actually happened? Development work dragged on for over a decade, while hundreds more families took over even more of Mark's land, and there was virtually no law enforcement to be seen. Mark decided not to give up. Armed with Regavim's documentation of the spread of illegal construction on Mark's land, he filed another petition. In court, we proved that not only had the state failed to enforce the law, it had actually repurposed the new neighborhood and assigned the lands for natural growth, leaving no relocation alternative for the families squatting on Mark's land. Recently, after lengthy deliberations on the case, a moving and somewhat surprising decision was handed down. The court required the state to stop playing games and to issue immediate evacuation and demolition orders for all the squatters on the private land, and to give them first priority for relocation to Rahat. Why surprising, and why were we so moved by the outcome? This judgment, after all, should have been a no-brainer, but the reality is that things in Israel don't always work that way. Winning this sort of case in an Israeli court is virtually impossible for a private individual. Israel's bureaucracy is monstrous, and one person on his or her own doesn't stand a chance. We gave Mark and his family the support they needed to see it through. This story reminds us why we do what we do, and why our efforts, both in the field and in the courts, are so important. This judgment has restored hope to the owners of the property and to us that there is always a chance that justice will prevail.